now. Hello, this is May feedback session, and I will start by sharing screen. And I will move quite quickly because I have quite a lot of paintings to give feedback, so it doesn't long like 3 hours. I will try to focus on the major things. Okay, we have quite a few of these Mercury tulip, the reference. And I will start with this one. So the major thing about this tulip, which should be noticed and shown in the painting, is these beautiful lights. And here we have beautiful lights, but the tricky part, I think, is this one. If we look at the reference, here in the painting, I can see that the light part of this area and this area are the same, this part looks flat just because there's not enough color in this particular area. For example, if you look at the reference, you will notice that this area is very light because it is the shiny surface of the tulip and the light is shining there, but this is the lower part of the tulip where it goes underneath the flower head. So it is, we know in life it is white, but because it is in the shadow, it's slightly darker. And if I zoom in closer, here is more light brownish, dirty yellowish color. And if we zoom closer, we notice that these two parts look completely flat just because there isn't this shadow area. And it gives a little bit wrong impression. This part is done perfectly. We have tonal values, light area, contrast, but this one just really jumps out of the whole composition. Also, stem part is nicely done, maybe a little bit more contrast, just a few lines, so slightly darker, and I would paint it a little bit more yellowish. You can go over with yellow wash, very transparent yellow wash, and it will instantly become more yellowish. About these yellow edge part spikes of the petals, also some area of shadow is missing. If we take a closer look, this part, this petal part, let's take a look here. We can see clearly that this is the lightest part, and then it becomes darker because it goes behind the tulip flower head. Here we have everything in the same tonal value. It would be nice to have this area slightly darker, few brush strokes, and it will become darker. Again, the same is with this part. It is behind the front petal. So here we can see clearly shadow, and this area could be also slightly darker. That's when I'm mentioning in the tutorial, zoom in closer reference, and you will notice what you just can't see from distance, like these little details, and it can make a major change in the whole painting. Okay. These are like major things. Let's check another one. Again, beautifully done light area. I would even tone this part a little bit down because this is the lightest part. This is the one that is completely turned towards the light. Here we have the same, and again, the same thing is a little bit more watercolor layers are applied here, but still could be slightly darker because, again, if we compare these two areas, then this is light and this is in the same tonal value, but we can clearly see if we compare, then this is much darker. I would also tone down a little bit of this, and this one is really jumping out. Could be maybe this particular part could be longer because it's, or a layer of yellows would be nice. It just really jumps out of the composition. Again, light yellow wash over stem, it will instantly become more yellowish. And about these spikes, yeah, there are some shadows here, which is nice, could be a little bit more. And also I would add a little bit shadow right over here. We can see that this part is slightly darker because it is curving inside and away from the light source. It is in the shadow. Also, this part could be slightly darker, but nice brush strokes, perfect fine lines of thin and nice long brush strokes, beautifully done. It can be just worked a little bit more, nothing is lost here. Few, I would say 20-30 minutes, and it can be done even better. This one right over here slightly lost the light area, but this area is done correctly if we compare to the previous ones, but missing light. Yeah, and need more light, need to reserve light area. This was the same thing last month with anemone. You also lost light, the same here. Just remember from the very beginning, leave wider area for the light. It can be, for example, here we can see that the light area is just this line, but you can leave light like this. That way, you will know that after many layers, you will end up at this part. Leave lighter area much wider if you know that you tend to lose it. And paint with slightly even more transparent watercolors. Also, if you started with the pencils, colored pencils, you could do first layer transparent watercolors, really transparent, like super transparent. Then you can go one layer with colored pencils and see how it goes. Maybe then you can go another layer with watercolors. Experiment. Okay. Then I will look. Then I have, what do we have? Further, we have orchid. And first, I would like to show from which reference this orchid was painted. It is from this reference. A little thing, a good tip. When you want to paint white subject, remove the background. The white reference will instantly look completely different. Here, with the dark background, we don't quite see color tones because contrasty to the dark background, this looks completely white, and it just really messes with our head that we don't see different color tones, of course, except for these center parts, but we just compare to the dark background, we think that everything is white. But if we remove the background, then these orchids don't appear completely white because white is the background. And now the orchids really stand out from the white background. That's how they should look also on the white paper. They're not white. If we compare to the white background, they're not completely white. Here we have blue, grays, yellows, greens. Let's zoom closer. I will show you different color tones. So here are greens, maybe because there is maybe green surface or green leaves underneath, and the white surface of the petal is reflecting different colors that are around the white subject. It doesn't mean that the orchid is so colorful. It just because it is white, it is reflecting everything that is around. So here we have violet, even a pink color, and here it is slightly reflecting on the petal. Here we have yellows, greens and yellows, something towards brown. It's a bluish gray color here. Again, green with gray, but everything is transparent. So there are a lot of color tones happening with these orchids. What about the painting? If I don't know if the reference, if this particular reference doesn't have visible stem, I would even paint these orchids like this without stem. It looks more elegant rather than have a stem with this stick, my opinion. But again, maybe this was other reference and there was obvious the stem and lost light with the stem, which makes this painting rather heavy. This dark stem and this stick, they both make this painting slightly heavy. If there wasn't these two parts of the composition, it would be, these flowers would more stand out. For now, really that got my attention is stem and the stick, not the orchids, but these two, because they are so dark and intense. After that, we have the center parts of the orchids, and then we have beautiful orchid petals. Here we have white orchids, no stem, no stick, and they really stand out just because they are beautiful by themselves. So what about the layers? Don't be afraid to add more layers with white subjects. Again, look, if we compare to the white background, they are quite dark. They have a lot of layers of transparent grays. For example, let's take a look at one particular petal. Here we have darker, darker, lighter, lighter, darker, and the darkest. So different color tonal values happening on one petal. This is quite advanced, but careful observation will help you. Okay, I will switch this off. Then I have this. Maria, I don't hear you. You can switch on the.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I show you for what I've done?
Yes, you added more layers. Yes, yes. Now it's better. Those petals are more obvious now.
Okay. And thank you about the stem because I get it now. So the green orchid is not working for me. When I added the purple lines, I think I'm gonna redo it, but from here to Sunday, I don't think I will have time. I will have time for the white one.
Yeah.
Should I add a leaf?
No, no. I think you can a little bit push yourself with petals. Work on the petals. Let me show you. I will.
Because how can I take away from the
No, better
stem?
no, not in this case, because if you will start to lift out, there's too much saturated layers on the stem.
Yes.
And on the stick, then it will be, you will start to smudge, and it better not. Better leave it as it is. I switched away.
And add more layers to the petals.
Yeah,
more,
I will show you. I would, yeah, just
more grayish blue.
Wait a second. I will show you which area. Just closed it. I will open it. Okay, let me share the screen. So, this petal could have a little bit more layers. It's darker. You have these crispy edge lines, but by adding a little bit more here, but don't overpaint the tip part. I will zoom closer.
Just
add here.
Okay.
This will, if we take a look, this one, and this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals are the darkest ones. So build the contrast, separate those two flower heads one from each other. Leave that area light, but work on these, then you can, yeah, slowly. Don't go too fast, too dark. slowly add transparent layers with tiny brush strokes. You can even go over with colored pencils. If you feel more confident with the colored pencils, you can add some layers with colored pencils.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is a wedding present.
Yeah, great. Okay, so and about this one, so here we have
I'm redoing that because when I added the purple on top of the green,
which purple did you add?
I added a little bit of I think it was a little bit of Helios purple, super diluted.
Yeah.
But
What I would suggest, for example, you can try on different piece of paper. You applied layer of this transparent. I would
but
add a little bit more layers, again, transparent. And then on the moist surface, add this very diluted or violet purple. It's even a little bit to the pink side. If I would use this red violet from Mijello. This is so similar to that color that I see in this orchid, but also could be manganese violet, for example, with permanent rose, or ultramarine blue with permanent rose. It's more violetish pink. It's quite light and bright. So on the moist surface, because we need to look beyond those petal veins. Don't look at the petal veins. Look what is underneath them, behind them. So then
isn't it better? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Isn't it better not to paint the center of the petal, leaving it white, to have the purple being purple? Because when I added the purple, it mudded and it became almost like a brownish color. That's why I don't like.
That depends. Yeah, that depends on the pigment. I don't know what the Helios is. I have never used it, but yeah, yellow and purple can go quickly dark and muddy and quite yeah, but I would even go with the pink with a little touch of blue or violet in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because if we compare, this one particular is very dark and intense, but again, there's a lot of pinks here, and I know that this is from different reference, but this is too dark for these. Not too dark, but too dull. Here we need to have like opera rose or permanent rose, something very bright. Something very bright, yeah. Yeah, this is a tricky. It looks easy. I know with these orchids, they look easy, but they are kind of tricky, really.
And the ones that I have in my house, they have weird colors, and that's why I buy them, and I want to paint them. And when I start painting, my eye becomes too advanced for what I am right now.
Okay, no problem. So let's go further. I have from one student this painting. She just, so I want to read a message. I've only been painting for about 7 weeks, so I'm still learning how paint behaves. That is completely normal. 7 weeks is just nothing, really nothing. It takes quite a long time to understand how paint behaves, how water ratio is. Your tutorials are far more advanced than my skill level. That's why you definitely need to go to beginner section and start with the very, very basic ones. Don't go to advanced section. I know it's tempting. It's always tempting for beginners. Go straight to more complex and beautiful compositions, but wait, don't rush, because you really can mess your enjoyment of painting when you go straight to advanced level. So I don't want to take too much time. Sorry, proper tips and advice on how to finish this flower. And this flower was painted without reference. Here is the thing, with realistic watercolor painting without the reference, it's super hard. It's almost impossible. Let me explain you why. I will show on the, for example, this tulip, and then we have a reference. How we really could imagine for a particular, let's take this one petal. There's so many things going on. Here we have shadow, here we have light, light here, then we have shadow here, cast shadow here. Our mind just can't figure that out without looking at the reference, especially if we don't have experience with painting. Especially in the beginning, we see things not so detailed, and it's not possible to paint something so realistic without guidance, what is it going on in front of us, because light source is coming from one direction, but looking at these shiny light areas, I can see that it looks like light source is coming from different directions, but we have only one light source, sun, and it comes from one particular left or right. It depends how you are standing towards the light. And to have all these details and how to finish this flower, I would just leave it as it is. Consider it's your first tryouts, and they're going to be a lot of them. Cherish these first paintings, cherish these practices. They're super. You will, if you will continue and paint and learn more, after 6 months, you can compare this painting to the one that you will paint after 6 months, and you will see how much you leveled up, how much you learned during these 6 months, if you're gonna, of course, practice. But I really cherish my paintings that are back to 2016, and I had even worser than these ones, and that is normal at the beginning stage, even after a year. And about how behave watercolors, how behave colors, I paint from 2016, and maybe only last few years I really feel confident with watercolor mixing. It really takes time. Don't get scared if it doesn't work out even after a year. It's important to enjoy the process, to pick something easy. Try watercolor mixes, paint a simple color wheel, color charts. And in my this collection of tutorials, there are basics like leaves, which can be done in graphite, then in watercolors. So please start from there. You will get more knowledge there, more practice. Maybe it's not so beautiful, not so interesting, but you will learn step by step. So this is my recommendation. Leave this as it is. It's nicely done. Cherish this painting. This is your first baby steps in watercolor painting. So go ahead and start with the basics. That's my main advice. Okay, let's go further. We have beautiful tulip, parrot orange tulip from last year tutorial. Let's compare. It is a nice reference and painting. Maybe lost somewhere a little bit of light and small details like these tiny spikes. They could be more vivid. This part could be a little bit lighter, more a gradual transition from the stem ending part to the how the petals are connected. Here is this area is not so crisp. Better be careful with that. This dark line shouldn't be there. It's not making smaller. Come on, it's not zooming. And this one? No, I can't zoom it back. Why? So I don't know why I can't zoom it back. Wait a second, I need to open it again, I guess. Yeah, found it. Sorry, for little. So this stem right over here could be darker. We need to compare this petal behind the stem and the stem, and we can clearly see that the stem is the more intense and darker, and it is closer to us, so we need to somehow separate. For now, this section, petal and stem, even petal is darker, lost some light, but they're almost the same, and it looks like the stem is blending with the petal, but we need to separate them with the darker stem. Yeah, too much red here, could be more brighter yellow. Yeah, but it is nicely done. It is nicely done. Maybe more attention to details, like each petal has different curves and a little in and out. But if we compare to the painting, then missing details. Look, let's compare how many here we have a curve, then this one goes up, and then something goes behind, and here's the curve, and here's the little bump. So these things are important to notice. So you're painting very nicely, very beautifully, so you can push yourself to the next level and pay attention to little details that are happening on the, that's why we have a reference to compare all that. Then I have this leaf and beautifully detailed, nice tonal values. I would even leave lighter parts wider, more intense cast shadow. Especially, let's take a look at this area. So I will zoom closer. This is the part which should be the darkest. Here I can see this whole area is in one tonal value, but here this part is the darkest because it is closer to the leaf which is up above, and it's casting shadow, and this one leaf is going inside underneath it. So this is the darkest part, then it slightly becomes lighter, and then it should be like this. I would add here, also here and here, more contrast. Then don't touch the lighter areas, then the lighter parts will instantly look brighter just because of the contrast. Here we have so bright these light areas, but we see that these contrasty darkness are super intense and dark. That will help make this, but still, it's really good. It's really nicely done. It just always can go a little bit further with our painting. Here we have a beautiful rose, and I think it's from my artist friend Egla. I think it's from her tutorial. She's a really nice, we are friends, and I was really,
yes, it's from her.
Yeah, so I was really happy to see her work and give a feedback. Oh, it's she's wonderful, and she's also very making beautiful tutorials and paintings. She's good. So we have a beautiful rose, and you said that you started with pencils or finished with pencils?
No, totally with watercolor.
Great. What really got my attention is this super detailed green part.
And it's the first time that I went like, oh my God.
Great. I would maybe add a little bit more darkness here, because now your leaf looks like it curves towards us, but in the reference, it goes underneath. And you could have a little bit more darkness here, and also not so bright these white little hairs. You see, here they are super light, and underneath they're becoming darker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then let me, oh no, zoom. Then this part could have volume. Now it looks a bit flat. And if I squint my eyes, it's a tricky area, and it all looks completely exposed to light. But if I squint my eyes, I will also think that the light source is coming from this side, and this part is slightly still going away from light source. So this part could be slightly darker with this part. And this part I would not touch. I would add a little bit here, just a little bit. And then there's this part is tricky. This is in the shadow. It's completely inside the rose. It's in the shadow. Look.
Oh, yes.
And you have it exposed completely to light, and it looks like that this part is curving over this part. You see? This one looks that it's something inside, and this part looks that it's something outside. But in the reference, we have a different situation.
It's inside, yes.
Yeah. But again, you can still manage it. You can add layers, and it will instantly go inside the rose. Instantly will go inside the rose. A little bit here, if I compare, look, this one is darker and this is lighter. This one, because it is curved, again, it is curved, it's going away, and it could be in the slightly darker.
Yeah, and that's a win-win for me, because reds with me,
yeah, I remember. Yes, and be careful with stems. You tend to make them more darker and lose a light. Here we have much lighter stem in the reference. Yeah, but still very beautifully done, nicely done. This part is especially looking super realistic. It's just tiny details that, like this part is, yeah, but if not looking at reference, it just looks like it's curved to the other direction, but that's not a problem. It can happen. But maybe, yeah, this part is a little bit confusing.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great. I was happy to see her tutorial in my feedback. Then we have a super advanced level with the anemones. And here is the thing. Light is perfect. Everything is good. Details are great. I would add contrast. In my opinion, this painting is not finished. More contrast, and I will show where. So let's compare these two petals can go darker. Then this one has a beautiful cast shadow area. This one is missing. Here could be darker. This corner could be darker. This petal is darker. This one can go a little bit more darker. Then this part, look, it will separate beautifully petals. If you will add here darkness, missing completely, then also separate these leaves. They also need shadow because they're behind the anemones, and the light source is touching only slightly the tips of the leaves. I would add more darkness, and the contrast will make magic to this painting. In my opinion, again, it's not finished. You can work a little bit more. Just don't overdo with the shadow, with contrast. Build it gradually, and it will be beautiful. Beautiful painting. Maybe a little bit more shadow here to make it more roundish. Yeah, nicely done. And this is like, it's a complex to the composition. I can't move it. No, I can't move. Okay, let's move like this. Okay. Then we have this rose. Here we have a reference. Oh, this is a very complex. This is
I almost went blind.
okay. Good news. Light stem. Maybe you went a little bit thick, wider than it appears in the reference.
Yes.
It could have been thinner, but it is light. I would add shadow here. And it looks like you slightly did it too fast, like you went this area. These little things in such a big compositions are important. It doesn't matter that they are small. They are also important to paint them. These spikes could be thinner, just little brush strokes, one brush stroke, and that's it. Then let's have a look. The sleeve could be darker, so it will go deeper into the composition behind these two. Now it really sticks out, and you could add a little bit further. Yeah, but there's still a lot of work with petals, and there are so many, and I know it is quite hard, but I would even work here further with colored pencils. Try to work here with colored pencils. Don't lose light. Go with just add these really soft colored pencil layers on the parts where petals are closer to the lightest one. Like here, add more layers to this area to make it gradually. Here we have light, and then you instantly have darkness. So we need more in the middle. Halftones we need here. And separate those, yeah, darkness here. I would go with colored pencils here. And don't, I would even not add too much, a little contrast to make this middle part darker, so it looks differently, because this is the lightest part. This is the lightest part. This is darker. We need to make them look different, establish contrast. Here, now they are completely in the same tonal value. We need to leave this as it is and add more layers here. Then this one. Yeah, carefully separate these petals a little bit more with the shadows, like here and here and here. This is super tricky. Okay, let's go with the grapes. Is this your reference, Maria?
No, that's Eagles also.
Oh, that's Eagles. Okay, okay. I would say that you just in the middle part of the painting, you could add more shadow. Yeah. Look at this one. Look at this one. They are much darker. These two are lighter. And then these two are darker. You need to, again, build the contrast to move them away one from each other. And this is also a tricky light coming from above. It's completely coming from above, and it's quite a tricky light source. When we have a lamp and it's shining from above, it's a bit confusing. For example, let's take this grape. I can see that here is the shadow, but it's a bit confusing. It looks like there's no shadow. Here I can clearly see it's darker. This part is, and yeah, if you don't see shadows, I always squint my eyes like this. And then I start to notice what is the lightest and what is the darkest. And if I look at this painting, everything is still in light, which is good in your case that you tend to lose light. Then in this case, you have too much light, leave the lightest ones as they are, add more contrast to the darker ones. This one, I would use now, for example, transparent indigo. You are missing blue color here. These grapes are blue. A lot of blue is happening here. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. They all have blue pigment. You are missing blue pigment. I think you need more blue pigment. Yeah. Okay. Then we have Billy Showell, Beautiful Rose. I have this book. It was my go-to Bible in the beginning. I looked at it. It's all the pages are completely worded out. Contrast.
That's all Pensacola. But wrong paper, that was an experiment. That was, I wanted to challenge myself.
Good.
Wrong paper, wrong colors. That was Bristol paper and Crayola coloring color pencils.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that it's all bad and that's
No, but
colors.
comparing to the Rolls Royce Sargasso that
I would add more here. You see how this middle part is darker? Because again, it's inside the composition, inside the rose, and we need to make it go deeper into the composition. This petal and this petal, they need to be darker. Otherwise, quite good. And especially with pencils, this painting has this soft feeling, this beautiful. You can just add a little bit more. Don't lose this light. It's nice, but add more here and here. Also here. Yeah. Maybe here. Nice. And it's so nice to see trying different references, art teachers. That is amazing. That's how you will discover your own taste. Here we have
me and my orchids.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Is it done with it's with pencils, right?
It's watercolor pen. What's it? It's pencils. What does it say?
It's watercolor first on Bristol, then polychromos, colored
Yeah.
Yeah. What is happening here? You have to crisp this purple finish and then the yellow. I can see that it's more gradually finishing and slightly blending to the yellow. You have quite a crisp edge where the purple finishes and yellow starts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's too.
So it should be wet
obvious.
on wet.
It's too obvious here. You see, especially here and here.
And yeah, the paper had to. Yeah, it's Bristol paper.
Yeah, but otherwise, I like this part of the stem. It's not so dark. You have light. Good. Nice to experiment. Okay, we have a rose from also last year's summer. It was a quick painting, quick tutorial, not tending to be completely super realistic and detailed. It's like more practicing looser painting, and it's nicely done. Maybe a little bit lighter stem would be nice. Don't outline and make dark lines around petals if it's not stated and visible in the reference. And here we see that this rose is fading away and it has slightly darker edges, but this darker edge don't appear just a line, it's a shadow. It's darker gradually from the darkest on the edge going to lightest the petal. It's not like here, it is clearly visible that it's a line, and these lines are slightly messing with the whole picture. Here we have this whole edge. This whole edge is darker, not just a line, not just a line. It's important to not make those dark lines. You don't need to. And if there is visible a darker line, for example, here, then it should be really thin, like really thin. This will make it more elegant and realistic. Look at this beautiful thin line. And here we are missing this line. It could be nicely thin there, but these are not they shouldn't be there. But light is good. Practice for looser painting, it's amazing. So remember about these outlining petals, leaves. Then we have this one, Anturium from last year challenge. Beautifully done. Could be a little bit more light here, a shadow here because it goes inside and is creating shadow area. The stamen could have shadow here, and these white dots, they are whiter at the light part and darker at the shadow. Here they are completely identical as it is light and as it is shadow, but here just a light wash of Pearland Violet, for example, could calm them down here as well. Then I would even paint here stem a little bit darker, but only this stem, the first one. That one I wouldn't touch. So again, shadow here, and this will be a nicely done. Let's go. Then I have from our, no, not this one. Here, I have from Facebook page. Where it is? Here. We have this bird is amazing. I don't have anything to add. Completely amazed by so many brushstrokes, tiny brushstrokes. This tummy looks so real and it looks like it's moving. Amazingly done. Especially the stomach. Head is also done nicely. Maybe a little bit more contrast I would add. And this nose of the bird, I hope it's nose. But the tummy is like, I'm just really, I was surprised to see. The illusion, it is like it's moving. Beautifully done, beautifully. Then we have a Mercury tulip. Can I move it a little bit? Slightly. So here we have light, nicely done. Again, this area, this particular area could have been a little bit darker because again, this is the lower bottom part of the tulip flower head and it should be darker, slightly missing here. A little bit more shadow here would be nice because here we see that this petal is deeper in the flower head. A little bit more shadow here. This area is slightly too dark. And now it looks almost that the light is coming from this direction because this area is lighter and this one is darker, but it's opposite. In the reference, this is lighter and this is darker, but still it's so shiny. I like the shiny part and it makes this painting pop. Then we have a beginning stage of Crown Imperial, and today I will upload the last part, stem part, completely dedicated part to the stem, so you can see how much effort you need to put in painting stems, all the stems. I already see that the leaves are done nicely, so everything is moving and shadows. When I was painting this first part, I didn't finish like 100% till the finishing part of the leaves, because I knew when I will add flowers, when I will add stems, it is possible that something needs to be added also to the leaves. It is with more complex compositions where there are so many subjects, you need to leave room for improvement, because when something isn't painted, that this already looks quite intense and dark, but when these flower heads will be painted, then this instantly will become calmer, and maybe some more shadow will be needed. But I already see that this is quite rich and contrasty, and maybe it will be enough, but a beautiful start. Beautiful cherry blossoms. I especially like flowers, super detailed, nicely done. Also, leaves are maybe not too big. I couldn't find the reference right away, but what got my attention, these veins, these leaf veins are too identical and too wide. They could have been a little bit thinner and not so identical. Yeah, but other way, it's beautifully done. Maybe here where the stem is going in underneath these little leaves, I think there should be shadow. Oh, I know where I can find. Let's take a look at the reference quickly. I will find the here Sakura painting tutorial. Let's take a look at the, and I'm always comparing with the reference, not with my painting, because that's where we need to focus on the reference. Yeah, as you can see, these veins are not completely identical, and this is making the if you would have painted them slightly different, it would make it more look interesting. Then yes, as I said, here we have shadow. This stem is going underneath these leaves, and there is this shadow because it goes inside and it's creating cast shadow. Then maybe these could be slightly lighter. If I compare to the reference, it's more pink and a little bit lighter, but still, I like how it looks. I even like this intensity, not even looking at the reference. Maybe a little bit darker this area. I can see here it's dark, and this little part is in the shadow because it's underneath. Yeah, but beautifully done, beautifully done. Then we have, let's close this one. This rose, amazing. I don't have anything to add here. First of all, it was a sketchbook challenge. It was all about painting fast and more looser, but it looks so soft. It looks so, and even this shadow, it looks like this rose is above the paper and casting this shadow on the paper. It really looks like that from the first view. And I was like, where is the shadow coming from? And I thought the rose is casting shadow on the paper. Maybe here I would add some little bit contrasty shadow on the right side to make this stem more three-dimensional, but amazing. These little parts, beautifully painted, super detailed. Softness of rose is visible. It was also from the challenge, and it also is super detailed. Beautifully painted, different tonal values. As I look at nice shadow, maybe here the stem could have a little bit more contrast. Also, this part could go a little bit darker to separate these two petals. Also, this one could be a little bit darker again to make them apart, to move them away one from each other. So again, little things, it's just how you can always go a little bit further and push yourself a little bit further. Here we have a tulip, parrot tulip. I would add shadow right over here. Stem is slightly darker because it is completely away from the light source. It's underneath the tulip flower head and there's no light shining on it. Maybe just a little here, but it should be darker. And my tip, I try to say about it in each tutorial, when we have stems, and if you know that you tend to go over the edges, I know that I got over the edges, I always outline stems slightly thinner than it appears in the outline, in the reference, that I know that after painting, it will be the right size. Because if I will outline it as it is in the outline drawing or in the reference, I will paint it bigger. Just because I know my hand slightly shakes when I need to make these fine lines, but if I will outline it smaller, then everything will be good. So shadow here, shadow here, shadow here, shadow here. This one also, look, if we compare this area to this one, this is exposed to light and it is lighter. In this case, it looks opposite. This is completely light and this is dark, but in the reference, it's opposite. Also, sorry for that. Also, here, this part is dark and yeah, but it's beautifully done. Beautifully detailed middle part, nicely done. Just little additions and we can always work a little bit more. Then we have an apple. We have apple. And my recommendation for this apple, this is a nice beginner stage painting where you can practice volume and three-dimensional painting with the simple round subject as this apple. I would say you are in the middle of the painting of this apple because you need to build contrast. Look, compared to this reference, it's in the shadow here. So you need to add shadow. This part is in the shadow. You need to add more layers right over here. Compare. When you are painting, you, for example, painted for some time, you're in the middle of the painting process, photo your work, put it side by side with reference, and you will see how much you need to paint, where you need to go. Light area is perfect. I would not add any more there. I only ask for you for just extra 20-30 minutes to put more in the shadow here and here. And I think there was another one, but okay. So there was another one, the anemone with the parrot tulip. Let me quickly find it. I remember that it was there. I don't have a here. Yeah, here. Here we have anemone. And again, a little bit more contrast. Here, you see this petal is darker. This one is missing. It's too light. Then these leaves are slightly darker. Take a look closer here. Then careful with leaf veins. They're not so thick. Let's look at the reference. Open up, open up, open up. No, it's not. Let me open it. Here it is. So take a look. It's not even visible here, but look at these veins. They're so thin. Leaf veins are super thin. There are some leaves that have a thick veins, but still each vein finishes at the upper part of the leaf and it just becomes super thin. It's not, it don't stay open like this. Paint it slightly thinner. You can still do that. You can still do that. This one is also not so bright because it is in the shadow. Shadow here, more shadow in this area. Yeah, but now it's beautifully done, beautifully. And then there was this coltsfoot. Coltsfoot, yes, I think it's coltsfoot. Yeah. Nicely done, detailed painting. Maybe brighter yellow part. It could be brighter, slightly brighter, and contrast in the shadow. Here in the middle part, it's in the shadow, so we need to separate again. This is the front line, and they are closer to us, they're exposed to light, and then there is this inner part, which is deeper, darker, and away from us. Now it all looks completely together. We need to divide them, make something go closer to us, something go further from us. And stem, these red things could be slightly lighter, not so intense. I think it's Perylene Violet, and the Perylene Violet, it's be very careful with Perylene Violet, what I can say. It's beautiful pigment. It really helps in so many occasions, almost using it all the time. Yeah, could be shadow here, divide these things. And yeah, beautiful, beautifully detailed work. Okay, talking for 1 hour straight. Now, if you have some questions.
No questions.
No questions. Maria, do you have questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
No,
Karen?
thank you.
We'll see you on Saturday.
Yes, Saturday we are having our online school session and we will talk more about freehand drawing. And I was happy to see you ladies here, and have a nice Friday evening, Friday day, and Saturday day, and then we will meet again.
Okay. Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Christine.
Bye-bye.